over the years from all around the world.
Yes. So it doesn't get any better than that.
That's right. So if you're a cricket fan and you want to reach and see and probably even get some autographs from some of these legends, the place to be is tomorrow at the Cricket Stadium, Central Broad Cricket Park at 441 on Sunrise Boulevard. It's in the northeast corner of 441 and Sunrise. You can't miss it. We just hosted the West Indies playing India, a spectacular 2 days of cricket where the West Indies actually won the final game of a 5-game series. And, you know, we're on a money show, so we got to talk money.
Right.
Cricket has had a tremendous impact on South Florida because we get a lot of people who stay in hotels and go shop at our restaurants and at the mall. Tomorrow it starts on the 18th at 9:30. It's a beautiful facility. If you've not been there, you should go. You can take the kids and the grandkids because there's a beautiful park setting that this is situated in. We spent a few dollars to put that together. I actually started on this even before I got elected first and then followed through with promoting, building, and helping to make sure that this facility is there. Let's not let it go to waste. Tomorrow is a great day for you to come, but it goes on throughout the weekend also.
Yes, it does.
Give the phone number again, Ms. Chin, slowly, please. The phone number and the text and the number to text.
Okay, for the number for the office is 954 870 7956. That's 954 870 7956. Or you can text 954 329 5586. Whether it's regular text messages or in WhatsApp, we take both. I just want to just a quick reminder, guys. In all our local stores, you're going to see the flyer. There's a flyer that is going to be placed in all these local stores. And even if you come to the station, you bring the flyer to the venue, or you can scan the QR code on that flyer for you to get your complimentary tickets for this event. All right. So if you go into your Donna's supermarket, your Dutch Pot, everywhere, they're everywhere, even in the hair store, the hair salon, the barbershops, they are there, the gas stations, you will see the USA T10 Masters Global flyer. You can take the flyer with you to the venue, or you can scan the QR code that you see on the flyer, and that automatically gives you a complimentary ticket for this event that starts tomorrow.
Right? and it's all West Indian people. Come out and enjoy yourself. All lovers.
Everybody, whether you're West Indians, English, Pakistani, Indian, it doesn't matter. From you love the sport. Indeed. And you are a good sportsman or sportswoman, just come out and give your support of this.
And even if you don't love the sport and like to learn about the sport, it's a good chance for you to come and learn about cricket. On Saturday for the Greek game that was held here, the owner of BET, the former owner of BET Television, Mr. Johnson, was there, Bob Johnson.
Yes.
And I actually taught him how the game is played, and he was very fascinated by it. I compared it to baseball. He said, this is much faster, more exciting than baseball.
Indeed.
So it's a great sport.
And of course, you'll be there tomorrow, Mr. Holness.
Unfortunately, in spirit only, not in person. I am actually taking a little drive to get my son last child into college.
Okay.
So I'll be on the road with that.
So it starts at 9:30 and ends at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And listen, guys, every single day you get entertainment by superstar artists. You have from soca, you have from reggae, you have from dancehall, you have even the most famous Indian singers, and whether it's their R&B and soca, whatever it is, they are gonna be performing live at these events. Every single day you get a new artist. entertain you.
I was told that the Make We Talk program will be broadcasting live from there as of Monday.
Yes. So we will be there live,
Yes.
broadcasting starting tomorrow. We'll be
Mhm.
there bringing persons who probably going to be at work and not
Right.
able to come. We will give you a little synopsis of what is taking place
Mhm.
at the stadium. But listen, Miss Chin gonna be there. All Miss Chin fans roll out. All the Make We Talk fans roll out. All the wealth and money fans, they want to listen. I'm telling a little secret. That's where all the wealth is gonna be. If you want, yeah.
That is why Mr. Holness is here talking about money today.
So yes, so
Yes.
tomorrow. Let's talk about it.
Thank you so much, Miss Chin, for coming to tell us about the great cricket team tomorrow. The cricket game tomorrow will be live. The Make We Talk program along with WZPP will be live from tomorrow and also Monday. Mr. Holness, welcome to the program. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. It's great to be back with you. Having served as a commissioner in Lauderdale, vice mayor in Lauderdale, county commissioner, and mayor of Broward County, I'm so proud to see what we're doing with this facility. This past weekend, the games that were played had an economic impact of about $13 million on this Broward County economy. The Indians, when they come, especially the Indians, they go to Sawgrass. They come with 2 suitcases and they go back with 5 because they go and shop. But this afternoon, I have with me a brilliant young man, an author. He interned with me during the campaign, and he's interned for other folks also in the campaign arena. Charles Horowitz is a brilliant writer, and I know he's going to go to great heights. Will accomplish great things, maybe even president one of these days of the United States. Welcome, Charles. Great to have you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Holness. Great to be here.
All right. Good to have you. So tell us a little bit about your background. Who are you and where you're from and where did you go to school? Just tell us a little bit about you and what's your passion?
Sure. So I was born and raised in South Florida in the great community that we have right here in Broward County. Went to all our great local public schools, graduated from Cypress Bay High School in 2021. And now I go to the University of Florida where I'm majoring in political science. And I really just became interested in politics because it's such a great way to help people. Often politics has this negative perception around it because of all the fighting that goes on. But, for example, in the Florida legislature where I interned last session, 81% of the bills were passed on a strong bipartisan basis, meaning that 5 or fewer individuals from the minority party voted against them. And these are bills that address everything from invasive species to internet to affordable housing. It's really important that we can serve the people because at the end of the day, that's what government is for.
And as I said, he's the kind of person who understands that. Now, when you interned with me, you really focused on my campaign on the environment and the impacts of the environment. And we know that President Biden has put quite a bit of money into that, and I know you continue to write about that. So give us a little bit on the economic impact that not taking care of the environment has, and the impact when we take care of the environment.
Definitely. So during the last Congress, from 2021 to 2023, we saw a huge surge in really impactful legislation that's going to pour a lot of money into subsidies, into manufacturing, and into the environment. And the cornerstone of the Biden administration's plan with that is $370 billion in funding in the Inflation Reduction Act, which just celebrated its 1-year anniversary this year. This is the largest investment by the United States ever in clean energy, and it's expected to cut U.S. emissions by 40% by 2030. And it also has $2.8 billion, importantly for financial assistance for underserved communities that have been disproportionately impacted by things such as coal power plants being located right next to their homes. And there's also $200 million for technical assistance to implement this environmental and climate justice program, which was created in the Clean Air Act section of the Inflation Reduction Act. As we know, minority communities have traditionally been left out of a lot of these programs, leaving them to deal with the consequences. And the environmental justice provisions in this bill are huge.
Yes. Mr. Holness, you still there with us?
Yeah, part of what I know that happens with this bill also, there's emphasis on making sure that when the funds are spent, it really reaches into these communities that have been left behind. And also that participation from the communities in terms of the economic impact is there. Talk a little bit more about that and talk a little bit about some of what happens here with the glades and the restoration of the Everglades. And also part of what I know is in it is the fact that it will help with clean drinking water for so many people, and more access to transportation for low-income communities and better roadways and all that. So if you would talk a little bit more about that impact.
Sure. So I'll address the clean water part of that first. So prior to the Biden administration getting sworn into office, we saw that there were an estimated 10 million American households and 400,000 schools and child care centers that don't have safe drinking water, which is in large part due to the amount of lead pipes that we have. And in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that was signed into law during the 117th Congress, we saw a $55 billion cash infusion to make sure that every single lead pipe that we have in the United States is removed and replaced, because we don't want these lead pipes in our homes, we don't want them in schools, we don't want them in child care centers. People who have these exposures to lead pipes often have lower IQ scores and come from communities where they really need an extra hand up, and they're getting the opposite of that.
Go ahead.
Sure, no, go ahead.
We saw what happened with the situation in Michigan a couple of years ago, how devastating it was for those communities not to have clean water, and how it affected the health and development of the children, and how people had to actually use bottled water. And similar in Jackson, Mississippi, we saw a low-income community over there that was really impacted in a very negative way.
Exactly. You're completely right. And it's important to recognize also that the crisis in Jackson, Mississippi is still continuing. And there we're seeing a majority right Republican legislature that's trying to take local authority away from what is one of the most African American communities in the country. And there's no doubt that a large part of that is definitely racially motivated. But it's also important to look at the other parts of the Biden-Harris administration's plans that are helping minorities. For example, their program, again in the bipartisan infrastructure deal, set aside $65 billion to make sure that every American can access reliable, high-speed internet. Nowadays, especially after the pandemic, so many Americans are working from home, or if you need to go on the computer to take care of something from work or to pay a bill, a lot of that is now done online. And not having access to broadband internet can really economically damage your prospects for upward economic mobility. So that's, again, very important. Another thing is, especially in South Florida, we're in a very, very car-dependent society because we don't have a lot of public transportation. So there's, again, in the bipartisan infrastructure deal, there's two components that are going to help people deal with that. First of all, we have a surface transportation program, which is going to infuse $110 billion in funding to repair roads, bridges, and build more infrastructure. We've done it for decades. The United States has done it better than anyone else. But unfortunately, our infrastructure now is not number one in the world, and we are getting bad grades. We're getting C's in our infrastructure. So the Biden-Harris administration is definitely addressing that. You know, we have 20% of our highway miles and major roads that need to be repaired. We have 45,000 bridges that need to be repaired. And to be sure, $110 billion is a lot, but it's not going to fix all of that. But every single mile of roads and every single bridge that we do fix that is worth it. Then we also have, for people who don't depend on cars or who would like to take public transportation, which is often cheaper and more convenient, but we don't have enough of that. So in the bipartisan infrastructure, there's money, $89.9 billion, in fact, to fund buses, for example, in communities. We're going to see a lot of electric school buses, which in turn is providing a lot of jobs in the factories that are building them. We have a lot of streetcars that are going to be built, and we're going to make sure that it's all done so that the elderly and those with disabilities can access it just as well as anyone else. And it's also important to realize that when we electrify and when we take these cars off the roads, that's in turn taking a lot of these carbon dioxide and methane emissions off the roads. So really all of it ties into everything else. If we have more public transportation, we have a cleaner environment. When we have a cleaner environment, we have people who can do better in school and get better.
We have lost you. Mr. Holness, are you still there?
I'm still here, but I seem to have lost Charles.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Mr. Holness. Loud and clear on the program here. I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Charles, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, continue. So you hear the billions and the millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Indeed.
That is being spent and is coming through the community. And that has certainly had a very positive impact on our community, because a huge piece of what this does also is that it creates jobs. And that's why the job growth is still continuing.
Yes.
Even as we try to reduce inflation in the cost of goods to people. Now, on the other side of our break, which will be coming up in a few minutes, we're going to talk about the infrastructure, because Charles is starting to get into the infrastructure. And then we're going to talk about the forgiveness loans for college students, because he certainly is a college student now, and he understands that quite well.
Yes.
Charles, how old are you now, Charles?
I'm 20.
20 years old. The wisdom that this young man has is just amazing. Absolutely amazing that he's studied this stuff. He knows it. He writes about it on a regular basis. At 20 years old, I wish I was as brilliant as he is, and mastered the understanding of the political arena and the money and the economic impact that it has on life for our community. So I commend you greatly, Charles, for what you're doing. You're now in school and doing internship also, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you're in school. Where's your school again? Say one more time.
The University of Florida in Gainesville.
And now you write, and online they can find your writings. So how do they get to what you write, Charles?
Sure. So I have a website called Policy Reform Now, where I write about current events at the state, local, national, and international level. The link for that website is policyreformnow.wordpress.com. That's policyreformnow.wordpress.com. And we're also on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you get your social media, at Policy Reform Now.
Policy Reform Now is the place you can go to get more information on these policies and understand the impact that it has on your life. And, you know, I often say politics, power, and purse, the money, are not separated. And certainly what we have seen from this Biden administration is a tremendous amount of work being done to impact policy, to provide employment opportunities for our young people. And I know we are just up on that break.
We have a couple more minutes you can talk, sir. We have a couple more minutes.
We got another minute. Okay.
Yeah.
So Charles, do me a favor, give that information out because we're going to break just in about 30 seconds.
Yes.
Charles?
Definitely. So we're seeing a surge in jobs. Manufacturing job growth is at the highest level that we've seen in decades in the United States. And we're actually seeing other countries and other supranational organizations that are getting together to try to compete with us. In the United Kingdom, they tried to propose legislation to counter the great things that President Biden is doing here, and they failed. In the European Union, they're still scrambling to come up with their own answer because we've injected so much money into the market.
So we'll continue after the break.
You're listening to WZOP 92.7 LP FM.
Baby, I feel rolling at the creases of the bed. I from gunshot, now I get bun up. Because I feel pull off the gas for the thing. I want to blow up with my family in the car. So them like the house lock up, save me, and the fire in the house. And them say nobody not come out. Yeah, them say we can't come out. We nearly dead with me out them in my house. Key, everything burn up, everything. My son to go foreign in December. All I'm papers, everything burn up. $100,000 me have a save. I rent a house, come in December, I rent a house. I'm a straight, they just tell me to leave, come in get a dream. And I say I go rent a place, the whole of that burn up. Everything come burn up, but the greatest thing I have life, you understand, my life not gone. And when I have to say to them wicked people there, all the thing I tell them is go and go repent. Because God not sleep. God not sleep here. We are poor people, we are homeless. I'm traumatized. God not sleep.
What
showing up a good way.
What could why?
I mean, this?
There's no reason for
no
this.
reason
No
for
explanation.
this. Them just want to take what is not theirs. That is what they want. They want to run everywhere and everybody indulge in a badness. And
I also give the commitment that the 11 houses, structures that were destroyed, that they will be repaired. If the objectives of the terrorists is to displace the people here so that they could possibly import who they want in the area, they will not have that comfort. They will not have that victory. We will rebuild the structure so that the people who are here can be regularized and have a good life and living condition. We will never allow them to win. So this area was already being considered under the new social housing program. In fact, it was assessed as one of the big yards, tenement yards, that we would seek to upgrade some of the housing and try and put in proper facilities. That process will be fast-tracked. So if the criminals thought they had won, they would be sadly mistaken.
Make up on the mind. Work has to be done. It's not going to just happen so. We have to make sure that every comrade who voted for the People's National Party in 2011 and deliver the victory, if they're still alive, them have to go vote for Comrade Patrick Peter King when the election call. And even some who not alive, you know, if them can deal with it, no problem. Cause as them say, we name power. Power party.
Mr. Prime Minister, the people them send me to you, sir. Them have a gully for your jumping. Right now, somebody need to save on ya. Enough people hear me sing that song and say, me I disrespect Mr. Andrew Holness. I know say Mr. Andrew Holness, me know you hear that song here, sir. But me want you to listen to the words of me I say. Me is not just an entertainer, sir. Me is really a voice of the people.
What a way PNP sweet.
The PNP can be seen as a more vibrant party than the Jamaica Labour Party.
Andrew is a nice boy, but he's not a leader.
I have come to this parliament as a speaker, and I have fallen prey to the same thing, because I've come and been quite a dodo bird in following certain instructions without asking for the relevant law. But as time goes on, and my interest in the parliament, and this is the only way the parliament will grow, is if we read, question, and understand. So what I'm saying to members, when you sit in a committee, Member Cousins, it's so important. When we sit in a committee and the chairman of the committee...
More than 60 people have...
What a way PNP sweet.
The PNP can be seen as a more vibrant party than the Jamaica Labour Party.
Andrew is a nice boy, but he's not a leader.
This happy hide now. Can't worry about that now. It's happy hide now, not true?
Their boat was spotted near Cape Verde off the coast of West Africa. The vessel set off from Senegal.
What a way PNP sweet.
The PNP can be seen as a more vibrant party than the Jamaica Labour Party.
Andrew is a nice boy, but he's not a leader.
What a way PNP sweet.
The PNP can be seen as a more vibrant party than the Jamaica Labour Party.
Make up on your mind. Work has to be done. It's not going to just happen so. We have to make sure that every comrade who voted for the People's National Party in 2011 and deliver the victory, if they're still alive, them have to go vote for Comrade Patrick Peter King when the election call. And even some who not alive, you know, if them can deal with it, no problem. Cause as them say, we name power.
What a way PNP sweet.
The PNP can be seen as a more vibrant party than the Jamaica Labour Party.
Andrew is a nice boy, but he's not a leader.
What a way PNP sweet.
The PNP can be seen as a more vibrant party than the Jamaica Labour Party.
Andrew is a nice boy, but he's not a leader.
Days on WZOP, WZPP Radio. For more info, hit us up at WZPPradio.com.
Welcome back to WZPP and WZOP. We're talking to former Broward County Mayor Dale Holness, the son of the soil of Jamaica. Mayor Holness, over to you, sir.
Thanks so much. I mean, this is the voice of the Caribbean, certainly.
Indeed.
WZPPradio.com, WZPPradio.com. Tune in on your phone, in your car, on your laptop, on your iPad. Tell your friends about it, because we're about empowering and educating and informing our community. With us this afternoon, we have a brilliant young man, Mr. Charles Howard, who is doing great things in terms of the political science. Not only does he write, but he stays active and involved and engaged in the political arena. As a student now in college, you hear his knowledge earlier. And Charles, you were talking about the infrastructure bill and how much money has been put into that. And you actually kind of alluded a little bit to the CHIPS Act. So if you would go into the infrastructure bill, how much, how is that being deployed? And then the CHIPS Act. And then we're going to close out with something that I'm sure you're quite mindful of, the student loan forgiveness program that President Biden has tried so desperately to put in place.
Sure.
Go ahead, Charles.
And I appreciate your time. So the Infrastructure Act has a total of $1 trillion in spending. It's truly transformative, and we haven't done anything of this depth and scope in American history. And it's important to know that when you're looking at infrastructure, it's not only things like roads and bridges that you traditionally think of, but it's also things like we discussed earlier, such as high-speed internet, clean water, and importantly, especially in Florida and throughout southeastern United States, making sure that we can withstand the impact of hurricanes and worsening storms. Now, what we've also seen with this infrastructure bill is everything from revamping our power infrastructure to building more EV charges. It's truly transformative because it doesn't seek to address just one thing. It seeks to address anything that you could possibly be imagined. Now, $1 trillion is quite a lot of money. And we spoke previously about how some of that's being used to take out lead pipes. And $65 billion of that, in fact, is being used to make sure Americans can access high-speed internet. But people in our audience are probably wondering, well, how's that going to work when we have a hurricane and it comes and destroys a lot of the infrastructure, possibly my home or my business here in South Florida or the region that we're in? A lot of that comes from a $100 billion price tag. That's not in the infrastructure bill. That's actually how much it cost last year alone from 22 extreme weather, climate-related disaster events. And as well, people of color are vastly more likely to live in areas where there's a higher potential for flooding or where these disasters can just have a worsened impact. So in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act is over $50 billion to protect against drought, floods, wildfires, and make sure that our buildings are more resilient. We know that when a storm comes through, it's still going to have an impact, but we can make that impact less than it has to be. Some of that is simple. Funding, for example, prescribes burns in the Everglades so that when a wildfire erupts, there's simply less to burn and the fire burns cooler. Other parts of that are restoring mangroves that we have on the East Coast so that when a hurricane comes through, the storm surge can somewhat be countered by those mangroves and the storm can be weakened before it reaches large population centers. Importantly, we also have $21 billion to clean up Superfund sites. These Superfund sites are really a scourge on America. We've seen from Love Canal to a lot of parts of Cancer Alley in Louisiana that these Superfund sites affect people who don't have the money to move anywhere else. So, for example,
Superfund sites refers to contaminated sites that's been around for a long time, large contaminated sites that affects communities, and I may point out mostly in the African American community of color is where these what's called Superfund sites, because it takes a super amount of fun to clean it up. Wider reference to Superfund for these contaminated sites.
You're exactly correct. In fact, 26% of Black Americans live within 3 miles of a Superfund site, and 26%. 26%. And 29% of Hispanic Americans live within that same radius, which is unacceptable. No one should have to live anywhere near a Superfund site.
Okay, so let's get into the CHIPS Act, and what does that mean for America and our competitiveness, and how we are now thwarting China's dominance in that space that oftentimes is used in an ill manner towards us to basically spy on us and to do things that are not in the best interest of the American people.
You're completely right. So right now, most of our chips come from Taiwan, and it's no secret that China wants to take back Taiwan. And once upon a time in the United States, we made most of the world's chips. But since as an outsource to Taiwan now, if China invades or makes threatening actions, that could cut off our supply. Chips on everything from air fresheners now to cars, to trains, anything you can imagine, chips are in it. Now, the CHIPS and Science Act is transformative because it seeks to bring back all of that manufacturing to the United States. Already, due to the Biden-Harris administration's work, we've seen an additional 642,000 manufacturing jobs, and those are right here in America.
The largest increase in manufacturing jobs for decades in America.
Exactly. Now, part of the CHIPS and Science Act is subsidies for these companies, but the great thing is we're spending money to make money, because when the government spends money, we have more investments from the private sector. In fact, just the same week the CHIPS and Science Act was signed, we had the company Micron, which announced $40 billion investment in chip manufacturing in the United States, which is going to bring, just that one investment is going to bring our market share of global chip manufacturing from 2% to 10% within 10 years. And again, just that $40 billion is going to create up to 40,000 new construction and manufacturing jobs. It's amazing. We also have Qualcomm and Global Foundries, again, the same week that the CHIPS and Science Act was signed. We got $4.2 billion investment in a facility in New York. And we're seeing states actually compete for a lot of this investment. Oregon state legislature actually passed a bill changing the way that properties are zoned because they want to be able to attract all of these companies to come build factories. In Florida, we have Motorola Solutions, which has a lot of research and development, and especially...
By the way, Motorola designed the first cell phone.
Exactly. We're really seeing historic investments. And in Central Florida, which is where NASA and a lot of the aerospace science and technology companies are, we're seeing similar investments. Now, this is going to make sure that rather than relying on ECA for 75% of global chip production like we do now, we're going to rely on ourselves. It'll be made right here in America. Prices will be reasonable, and we'll have good paying union jobs. And by doing that, we're going to make sure that China actually has to buy chips from us, which is really going to turn the table.
And that's an excellent thing that we ought to be doing. So we have the CHIPS Act, we have the bipartisan bill for infrastructure, we have some bipartisan support for the Inflation Reduction Act. These are all things that was done by a fox, an old fox. They say he's too old. I say he's old enough to be smart enough to find a way to get things done. And I think that most people in the audience have no idea that these things are being done and the magnitude of them and how it impacts their daily lives. And that's the reason why rates continue to rise. We see jobs increasing, and we see a reduction in the inflation rate, which is remarkable to see that jobs are going up, wages is going up, and the cost of goods and services going down. That's a huge balancing act that I don't think has ever been done in American history when it comes to these kind of economic situation now called Bidenomics. All right, it is a totally different way of looking at how we do things to benefit the ordinary people in America, those who get up every day, go to work, take care of their children, and ensure that there's food on the table and the rent is paid. We're going to bring you back another time, and we still have a few minutes left, Charles. Now, let's talk a little bit about the reduction in college in college loans and what he's trying to do, and take us through how much effort he's put into trying to do this, and the Republicans are blocking him, if not in the Congress or in the Senate, in the judges that have been appointed by Republicans. Talk to us a little bit about that, Charles, and as a college student, how does that affect and impact your life?
Sure, you're completely right. Now, as a college student who has just entered college and thankfully goes to college on a lot of stuff, it doesn't affect me because I'm lucky. But most American families see a different story. Now, President Biden has really been hard at work. He's been a genius when it comes to student loan forgiveness. The Republicans have thrown up obstacles at every chance, and at every chance the president gets, he finds a way around them so that he can keep serving the American people. Now, what we originally saw was a broad plan using his executive authority as president under the Higher Education Act of 1965, where he wanted to forgive $20,000 in student loans for all Americans. Now, unfortunately, Nebraska and several other Republican-dominated states stayed so that they could block that. That begs the question, what are they afraid of? Because that will affect all Americans no matter what state you're living. And again, that decision was decided on a 6-3 basis, with all 3 Democratic appointees voting for student loan forgiveness and the 6 Republican appointees voting against it. That's why elections matter, why voting Democratic matters, and why we really need to do something so that we can elect President Joe Biden and hopefully expand our places on the Supreme Court.
The Fox is finding a way around their blockage. Talk to us a little bit about what he's now trying to do to find a solution to the issue.
Definitely. So once the Supreme Court shut down his plan, he came up with a lot of different solutions. Part of that is making sure that if you went to a for-profit college that has been shut down, you can get your student loans forgiven. Actually, just this week, 2 days ago, more than 804,000 student loan borrowers who have been paying their loans back for 20 years are going to start to see cancellations. And of those, 614,000 will have all of their remaining federal student loans at cancel. This is informative. The president can do that because those people who are paying their loans for years and years and years, they were the victims of a predatory system, and the president recognizes that, and he wants to achieve justice. He's also making sure that if you're currently in college, and this is something that benefits me and many other college students, that Pell Grants are being expanded. So if you're in a family who earns less than about $2,000 a year, Pell Grants are going to
repeat that amount again, because I think you went out a little bit.
Sure, that's for those who are in families making less than about $60,000 a year.
60,000. Okay.
Yes. And that's just some of the actions that he's doing. And also, he's forgiven $116 billion in student loan debt for 3.4 million Americans. And that doesn't even count what he wanted to do with the $20,000 in debt forgiveness that the Supreme Court struck down.
Okay, so increasing the Pell Grant level and increasing the wage earned by families to get Pell Grant will actually help a tremendous amount of low-income students, especially those whose children are going to college for the first time, which basically will help educate the future, or children. And the Republicans have done everything they can to stop these programs. You know, one of the things that was really amazing, Charles, that I've witnessed is that there are people out there who are in the Congress, in the Senate, who voted against many of these bills, and when the money is being delivered to their state, they're out there out front, cutting the ribbons and taking credit that they brought the money home. How hypocritical these folks can be. And they do it with a straight face, and people oftentimes didn't even recognize that they were against it. That's one of the reasons why we need to get the word out more on what's being done. I think that you make a great spokesperson for what's being done by the Democratic Party and this current administration. We've got about 5 minutes left, Charles, to wrap this up. Tell me a little bit about what your future aspirations are.
Sure. So, you know, right now I'm still in college, but ideally I would like to go to law school and become an attorney so that I can help defend the people who need it most, because constitutional rights are never too valuable to be defended.
Yeah. Let me thank you so much for being on with us this afternoon. This is WZPPradio.com. If you're listening, remember we're here during the week. I am on Thursday and Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. and we talk a lot about money, because money, politics, and power are not separated. And as the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 10 and 19, that food maketh a feast, wine maketh merry, and money answers all things.
Indeed.
So we yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much, Mr. Tavares, for keeping us connected.
You're welcome. That's former Broward County Mayor Dale Holness coming to us live remotely. I think he's on his way to a very important event at the moment, but he ended up coming up to us live. Mr. Holness, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, sir.
I look forward to having that conversation tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
As I drive to Ohio State to get my son in school.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Former Broward County Mayor, Mr. Dale Holness. Remember that comes tomorrow. Lovely cricket, lovely cricket. Come on out to the Broward County Stadium tomorrow to see Chris Gale and others. It starts at 9:30 in the morning, and of course WZPP, WZOP will be there, and the Make We Talk program will be there also. We'll be coming to you live from the Broward County Stadium with cricket, lovely cricket, and of course West Indies batsman Chris Gale will be there, along with some Pakistani cricketers will be there also, Mr. Holness?
Yes, they're going to be cricketers from around the world that will be at the site. And as soon as I get back, I'll be there enjoying the lovely game of cricket and cheering on those players who have become legends.
Yes. And on that note, we say goodbye from here until you hear our voice again. May God bless America. May God bless the Caribbean lands we love. Have a good day, Mr. Holness.
All right, take care.
Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me.
In the couple of minutes that we have left here on the program, join me on Monday. I'll be coming to you live from the Broward County Stadium, but we will be having on our program Opposition Senator, Opposition Senator will be coming on to our program tomorrow, on Monday rather, to speak to us about the National Integrity Action. We'll be having Senator Donna Scott Mudley, Opposition Senator Donna Scott Mudley will be coming on. May God bless you. Have a good day, everyone. Join us tomorrow as we come to you live from the Broward County Cricket Stadium. We'll be playing lovely cricket. Cricket.
Don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk.
And of course, on Monday, we come to you live from Broward County Stadium with more cricket and lovely cricket. The Make We Talk program will be there. The entire WZPP team will be there. WZOP and WZPT. WZOP.
You're listening to WZOP 92.7 LP FM.